Yo, YouTube. What's up? So, just checking in for the day. Don't got much to talk about today. Honestly, I just got off the phone with a friend telling the same things. It's like I don't know what to talk about today. Today I had another C's meeting. So if y'all remember my Juneteenth episode last month, that was a Rasmus C's meeting that I hold monthly, talking about race and equality in our school as well as abroad in the general public. Had one this morning about bias. It wasn't very well attended. This is the last meeting of the summer. There was two regulars that were there, and then halfway through, two other more regular people were there. But we had someone new join early, and then when I started talking, they kind of jumped off. I don't know what that was about, but hopefully next month I'll advertise a little more and get more people in because it will be the beginning of a new semester. So a lot of more students will be around. Maybe they'll want to join and see what's going on in these talks. Today was on bias. I gave the same talk I gave during the Champions for Change MSA facilitator training. It had a lot of hard to do images on stereotypes of African Americans after the emancipation and how those images have been perpetuatedly portrayed in media and other forms up until today, basically, and how that has changed the mind frame of people to implicitly be biased against certain groups of people. So, for instance, one of the stereotypes that was developed after the emancipation was the brute, and the brute is the overly is the portrayal of a black man who is overly violent, animalistic, and needs to be put down. And this has been perpetuated again since after emancipation on through our music we listen to and the TV shows we watch. It is continuing to be portrayed, and it is giving bias. So people, as they watch it all the time, they become biased against black males because they see them as this, because every representation they see them on TV or in the music is them talking about killing or being killed or being violent. And so because of that, that is kind of why it's not looked upon as bad, or it's kind of, so that's why that police and other white people, they see black people as being a bigger threat than white people, and why a policeman can gun down and kill a boy, 12-year-old boy, like Tamir Rice. I think he was a threat because of these stereotypes that were developed after emancipation and perpetuated until today. So whether the police officer was explicitly biased or given the benefit of the doubt being implicitly biased, didn't realize his own bias towards an African American male, these played a part in his shooting, and consequently the public's refusal to want to admit that he did anything wrong. Do you get what I'm saying? So anyway, we talked about that. Then we talked about how Abraham Lincoln was racist and how he didn't care about black people. Check out the letter to Horace Greeley, 1876, I think. Check that out, where he says that the only reason he freed the slaves was because he was trying to keep the Union together. That if he could have saved the Union without freeing any slaves, he would have done that. Start about that, and then we went on to, are we biased? How are we biased? If we could openly say that, that's the first step of correcting it, because like the 12-step program or AA or anything else bad, the first step in recovery is to admit the problem. So everyone did admit that they were biased, especially being raised in America. We're definitely biased because of the media and the stuff that we are being shown. Even one guy who wasn't raised in America, he was raised in Australia. He even admitted it too. Then we talked about what you can do to combat that, and one thing is there's a Harvard implicit bias test, link in the description, that you could take. It's really fun and easy, and it's very quick to do. And if you really do it the way they ask you to, it might show you something about your internal bias your implicit bias that you don't even know about, your subconscious bias in this test. It was very it wasn't eye opening for me. I can't say. I think it was basically aligned with what I already believed myself to be biased in. So it showed that I was correcting my bias. What else we talked about? Oh, another way that you can actively combat your bias is to talk to someone that you are biased against. For instance, a lot of people are biased to a certain group or a certain race of people, and many times the people who are biased to a different race have never had an encounter with that other race, or if they had, it was like once or twice and they never did it again. So the best way to not hate someone is to know someone. I was reading a book, I think, from Brenna Brown, the lady I was hitting y'all to a while back. She was talking about it's hard to hate up close. So when you feel like you want to hate someone, get close to them, and you'll realize that it's hard to hate when you know someone. It's hard to hate them when you know them. So the best way to get rid of a bias is also to make friends or have just a regular general conversation with someone. It doesn't have to be about their race or about their whole species or you know what I'm saying, their whole background and history or whatever. It could just be a, hey, how's the day, how's the weather going. You will realize that people of another race or people from another diversity or people from another gender or anyone you may be biased towards is just a person just like you. So we talked about that, and then we talked about bias in science. Is there bias in science? And of course there's bias in science. We were talking about how you can just Google Scholar. I Google Scholar quickly. Black people are lazy, and I set the date range to say before the 60s, and I got many papers talking about can we get black people to work after emancipation? They're naturally lazy, which is another thing we talked about, how white people started saying black people were lazy as soon as they stopped working for free. All right, as soon as they were no longer working for free, now white people are like, oh, they're lazy, right? And so it's all in scientific articles, right? So science is definitely biased. It's definitely biased towards females as well. So 9 times out of 10, people would take a white male as being a specialist over a female, even a white female. I believe when it came to the determination of the structure of the double helix of DNA, even Watson and Crick, they're always given the accolades for determining the structure, but they stole that from a white lady, which I don't even know her name. So that tells you how biased science is, because I don't even know this lady's name, but she did the first crystallography on the DNA molecule, and they took that to make theirs. So she literally was the one who identified the structure of DNA first, but she does not get the credit. The white males do. This is a biasm in science, and that we still have today, where the white male is seen as the go-to scientific expert above even white women, definitely above minorities. It's a little sickening. So we talked about also how can we combat that, and we talked about doing collaborations with diverse people. We talked about reading more papers from other parts of the world instead of just going for the American papers. Find some from the Southern Hemisphere or the Eastern Hemisphere. All right. And then we talked about if we were going in academia, which I plan to, and a couple others were, that we get to choose our own grad students. So get a diverse pool of grad students in your lab. So that was today. Besides that, doing a couple little miscellaneous things here and there. Still working on my quants. Did not get to graphs. Playing with it now. We'll see if I can get it by tomorrow. Hopefully I will. And that's all I got for today. So thanks for tuning in. Till next time, peace, love, stay safe on purpose, and we'll talk tomorrow. Bye.